Hello, everybody. It's me, Godo. It has been many months since we've last spoken. And yeah, I'm here to update you on the project of my custom ergonomic keyboard that I was building from scratch, including firmware, soldering, 3D printing the case after designing it, and all of that. That was a pretty big project, huh? It did last for many months on this channel, and I did take a bit of a hiatus once I was done with it. The reason for that is that I wanted to work on it on my own, basically in my free time. I didn't want to have to take the time to edit videos, prepare streams, and whatnot. I did finish the project on my own, and this video is a presentation of the final product, or at least the final product for version 1 of the project. Because, yeah, there's a bunch of features that I wish were available right now. And eventually, I'm going to have to come back to this project and upgrade the keyboard to version 2. Of course, it's not going to happen right now. It's going to happen after a couple of other projects on this channel, probably, and also just live stuff, of course, in the meantime. So who knows? Maybe it's going to be in 2 years we're going to come back. But eventually, we're going to come back to this project. So I'm going to present to you, first part, I'm going to present to you the new feature that I added and how it works with the keyboard. I'm going to show you that in a second. And then we're going to come back together, with my face, and we're going to talk about what's next. Here I am with the keyboard. It's ready to show the new feature. Okay, so the new feature that I added since last time is basically I can have multiple events on a single key without changing layer. And because of that, I tried it, and it does give a pretty good result to have one event, which is when you press the key initially, and another event when you hold the key for long enough. In this case, it's going to be 0.3 seconds or 300 milliseconds. And what's going to happen basically is when I hold the button, I do a backspace to delete the first key, and then I add whatever combination of key codes I want to write the new key. The example for that is when I write letters, they're going to be small letters, right? Like uncapitalized. And when I hold, the letter is going to be capitalized. So you can see here, I press F. I can press a couple times, that's fine. But if I hold F, boom. It's kind of like it makes it a big F, right? Here, A, big A. So that's really fun to do. And I can do any combination of keys that I want. I don't always have to delete the previous things that I wrote if I just want to add to it. A good example of that is here I have the little dash, right? Well, I can hold and have the dash become an arrow. So a good example for that would be, whoops, the enter is struggling a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to do it on my other keyboard. So for example, if I want to write like, I don't know, an object that contains a function called bar, and the object is called foo, well, I write foo. It's a pointer, okay, in this case. So foo dash bar, right? That's pretty cool. Of course, right now I'm just looking where the keys are and stuff because I did not learn the key mapping, but that's kind of cool. The fact that I can have like these multiple functions without changing layer. Now that we've seen the new feature and how it works, let's talk about the problems or missing features that are currently in the version 1 and, mostly look towards the future with what version 2 would bring eventually when I get to it. I'm kind of giving you a bit of a cliffhanger here to finish the project. So one thing that's kind of still annoying to me, and I know last time I said I was going to do a PCB, but I looked into it and there's just too much to redo if I restart my entire like electrical thing system stuff with the PCB and whatnot. I would even have to tweak the case itself and like reprint it and whatnot. It's a whole ordeal. I didn't want to do that for version 1, but that's the first thing that I would need for version 2 because I tried not to show it too much with the demonstration here, but there's a bunch of keys that still don't work. And like a month ago when I actually finished the project and I was too lazy to make a video, every single key worked perfectly. So I don't know if they don't like the humidity or something, or heat, cold, whatnot. Maybe they're not too good to resist temperature and whatnot. And I also just played with it. From time to time, I just press the keyboard for fun. Oh, whoops. It's still plugged in. It's doing a bunch of shit. Okay. So from time to time, I just play with the keyboard because it's fun to press the keys. I love the switches, of course. But yeah, it kind of broke again, some of the keys, and they don't work anymore. So that's really annoying. So the PCB is a must. Just having a better, more solid, more reliable hardware that doesn't break is number one. I absolutely need that for version 2, because version 2 for sure is the version that I would have to at least be able to use as a daily driver. Maybe in the end, I'll just prefer my good old keyboard that's actually older than I am. Very old keyboard. Trusty old keyboard. But I wish the new keyboard was reliable enough to be able to use it, for a long amount of time without having to redo the soldering. So a PCB is a must for that. Also, the PCB would allow for more hardware functionalities, like the hot swap sockets, which I actually already bought. But basically, these sockets, they allow you to put in the switches without the switches themselves being soldered to the PCB. So you solder the sockets and you can just, hot swap your switches, which is really cool if you want to custom or try different switches on your keyboard. So that's a really cool feature that I would really, really, really like to have. And it would be allowed by a PCB. Of course, I would have to adjust the 3D model for the case and reprint it and whatnot. So that's a big, big, big ask, but that would be priority number 1 for version 2. Second, feature, I guess, that I would want is it's such a pain to do key mapping right now. It's so long to do the key mapping. So I thought of a way that I could have the perfect key mapping editing method. But that would be very complicated. But it's something that I would actually like to do for version 2. Okay, but it's in multiple parts. So for the firmware, I would need to have actual two-way communication between the two halves. Technically, they support it right now, but I did not manage to make it work. When I actually tried to send information both ways, it didn't work for some reason. Probably some kind of concurrency problem. I'm not too sure. So, if you want to look at how I worked around that on GitHub, the code is there. You can see. But basically, I'm really just sending information from the puppet to the master half. So I didn't find a way to make two-way communication work. So that's one thing that I would absolutely need for the firmware, because I also need to be able to receive information from the computer. And if it's from the computer, it has to go to the master first. And then if I have to send information, after that to the puppet, it's kind of mandatory as well. Wait, I'm actually thinking about it, and maybe not. Maybe the key mapping, only the master needs to have it. Oh yeah, but then if you just unplug and replug the other one, it doesn't work. Yeah, well, okay, let's say it's necessary for now. But maybe there's a workaround if it doesn't work, at least for the key mapping being edited on the computer. And that's the software part of it. Software meaning, when I say firmware, I mean the executable running on the Pico and the microcontroller directly on the keyboard. And when I say software, I mean something that's running on the computer on Windows. And yeah, so I have to find a way to send information to the Pico and not just receive from the Pico like I'm doing right now. And I need also a mapping configurator GUI app. I say GUI app, maybe it doesn't need to be that, but just an app that can help edit the key mapping and send the key mapping to the Pico when I'm ready. I would like it to be a GUI app, so just that I have a visual overview of the shape of the keyboard, and I can just press a little square and be like, okay, I want this key to, that would be really cool if I had like an actual GUI editor on Windows to, kind of be able to configure what I want. It would be really cool. Feature 3. Better control of what a key can do. It's more a theme than a feature because there's multiple little things. But here in the firmware, one of the biggest thing that I could do is just have a better system or improve the current system to define what a key does. So for example, there's one of my layers that I actually kind of want to behave like a normal keyboard. And by normal keyboard, what I really mean is currently when I send a key, like the next frame, I send the information to the computer that I stopped pressing the key. While a normal keyboard kind of says, hey, I'm pressing the key all the time. So I wanted to have control over, if I rapid fire stuff or when I hold, it does custom behavior, as we just saw. But sometimes it's useful, like when I play games, to be able to hold the arrow key and not have it last for only one frame, right? So kind of ignore the condition that, just not send the null key, just not tell the computer that I stopped pressing the key, as I'm doing right now. And while it's intentional what I'm doing right now, I want to be able to say, for this key on this layer, I actually want it to be constantly pressed, like the arrow keys on my gaming layer, for example. So that's one thing that I would really like to be able to do. Also, maybe just better control like long strings. So right now, I'm really just sending one set of key codes, which is a maximum of 6 at a time. So I can't write like long words. If I want my full name to be written, it's actually too long. So, that's one example. Also, in terms of better software, better control of what a key can do, I'm very, very limited right now because I'm sending key codes that Windows receives as a normal, key code from a normal keyboard. This means that I'm super dependent on the layout, like this, that's currently selected by Windows. And if some key, for example, if I want to write in Spanish, okay, there's the ñ, which is the N with the little tilde on top. I actually cannot write this right now. I mean, maybe I could do, the trick where you do like Alt and then press a bunch of numbers to do the Unicode number and stuff. Like maybe I can do that, but you know what I mean? Like I can't put that little tilde on top of the N to do the ñ. I just can't. And I don't really write in Spanish, but I did learn Spanish at some point, and if I want to get back into it, it would be kind of annoying to do on the computer. So that's one example of something that I just cannot do because my layer, my keyboard layout that I use for my normal keyboard on Windows just doesn't allow that. Also, it's kind of annoying because the key codes, they say what it does on like a US keyboard. So since my layout is not a US layout, it's really annoying when I try to do the key mapping and it just doesn't, like, it's not clear which like HID key something will do what letter. So, just being, having a driver, I've never written a driver, so I don't actually know if it does that, but in my head, it just receives like input or like signals or something from a device, like my keyboard here. And like the driver itself is a small program that will interpret that information and then send whatever information is necessary to the operating system. So I'm hoping that with the driver, maybe I could just send like numbers, basically, or even like maybe even like a UTF-8 codes for the key that I want pressed or something. Like just having a system that is independent of the keyboard layout here in Windows, because I want this keyboard to still use that layout because if I want to use it, but I also want my split keyboard to have its own behavior. you know, that you understand. Basically, that's like the one of the big things that I want. The two other ones, they would be nice to haves, and the final one, I personally don't really care that much, so it's probably not gonna happen. But LEDs, while I'm remaking the PCB, I could add, you know, a little spots to place surface-mounted LEDs, like super small. I could have one for each key and having like stuff when like, I don't know, it lights up when I press a certain key and whatnot. It would be really nice. But the reason why I don't think it's absolutely necessary is because the goal is also to learn the layout and not having to look at the keyboard like I do right now. I've never learned to not look at the keyboard when I write. So the idea is also, you know, learn a new layout and truly learn it, right? That's kind of the goal. So the LEDs, they kind of go against that, but they're also really cool. And I'm a gamer, so I like RGB LEDs. So you know. Okay, and then finally, make it wireless. So you know, while I'm redesigning the PCB again, I could add a spot to plug in a battery and whatnot to be able to, you know, feed power to the Pico. And at the same time, I could buy Pico Ws, which are wireless able Pico. They can connect to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And I could, at the same time, in the firmware, add some Bluetooth communication. So, you know, nothing is plugged. Even both halves wouldn't be plugged together or something. That would be crazy. It would be super modular and whatnot. But it's kind of advanced. It feels complicated, and I don't feel like I need it. So actually, this is a feature that I would like in the future, but that's like a version 3 type of thing. If I ever do a version 3. So, you know, and even LEDs, I really feel like it's a version 3 kind of thing. But those 3 first features, just better hardware, make sure it's reliable and usable, very important. Just having this whole system to edit the key mapping easily and maybe having different key mappings that I could try out and whatnot, it would be really, really cool. And finally, having just a better system for functionalities of keys and what they do and how they're interpreted by the computer. All of that is just like a bunch of little things that would really, really help. So, yep. Those are the big features. Okay, I've been yapping for a while. That's the future, and I have a final announcement, which is now that this project is finished, I'm ready for other projects, and I'm not going to be doing hardware projects for the meantime. I've had my fill. I've been working on some software stuff on my own, you know, and I'm going to show you some of that stuff eventually. But what I really want to tell you right now is that today, that's right, probably in like an hour, just the time that I do the thumbnail, I'm going to be starting a new self-imposed game jam. So it's not a real game jam, but I'm participating myself. So basically, I'm just going to be doing a game over the course of this weekend. And I'm going to be using Godot again, like I did for the Suika game project, well, the Suika game clone project. And now I'm going to be also doing kind of a clone of a game that's kind of similar to the Suika game, actually. I'm going to be doing a clone of Tetris. That being said, I really hope that I can do the main functionalities of that game really fast. And the goal is to go beyond Tetris and do kind of a, you know, add twists to the game and whatnot. So I hope I have the time to do all of that during the weekend. And I have other stuff going on, you know, that I'm going to have to do like tomorrow morning and whatnot. But I should have the time to, you know, at least do Tetris and hopefully add more stuff. So, you know, tune in. I'm going to be streaming. It's going to be nice. If you can't catch them, the streams are going to be available on my channel. You have to click on the, you know, I'm going to show you actually. So you're going to have to, if you're in my channel and you go in videos, you're going to see the videos, but you're not going to see the streams. So if you click on live, you can see all of my previous streams, all of them, including of the currently finishing project. So I invite you to do so. And I hope I'll see you there. So thank you so much. Have a nice day and bye-bye.